Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. We're here for another movies of the week, so let's get right into it, talking about every movie I watched last week. Quick little disclaimer, I am quite sick, so if I sound or look dead or deathly or sick, it's because I am, and I apologize, but I still want to get you guys some content. So let's push over. And we'll start it off with the one and only TV series that I watched this week, which was The Penguin. I quite enjoyed The Penguin. I ranked it an 88 out of 100 as a season, which is pretty high. It's one of my highest shows of the year. I don't really feel like I can add much to the conversation about this movie, or about this show, but a really, really great show. Really portraying how fucking terrible of a person the Penguin is. So, definitely something I'd recommend to you guys. I see a lot of people say that they like this more than they like the Batman, which I don't personally. I like the Batman more, but I love that we get to add to this universe, and I hope we just continue to get to add to this universe. I'm very sad we have to wait quite some time for more of this universe. Probably 2026 until the Batman Part 2, so that really sucks. But let's get into it. Let's go with my first and least favorite movie of the week, which is Legend, directed by Ridley Scott. Not something I enjoyed. It's super fantasy, it's super fantastical, but it's not something that really intrigued me, and it's not something that I got interested in or gripped into at all. I ranked it a 23 out of 100, so really just didn't enjoy this movie. Moving on to Hot Frosty. This is going to be the first of hopefully many bad, basically Hallmark Christmas movies that Mel and I watched this year. This was number one. This was honestly nowhere near as badly made as I expected, or as bad as I expected, which I think is a good thing. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest. It feels like it should have been worse, but it's really not that bad, and it's most definitely not my least favorite 2024 movie. There's plenty of movies under it, actually. If you take a look at my list on my Letterboxd, my profile, I have a list of all my 2024 watches ranked, so definitely go take a look at that, check that out. But yeah, Hot Frosty, overall, a 35 out of 100. Like I said, it's really not that bad, considering Hallmark. Basically, it's a Netflix original, which some of those are probably worse, so not too bad. Let's move on to Never Say Never Again, and I started to try to get back into the Bonds a little bit last week. I took a bit of a break, but now I've only got 2 weeks left because they leave Prime at the end of November, and I gotta finish those because they won't be on streaming services again, I don't think. But Never Say Never Again. Overall, not too bad. It's not terrible. It's pretty average. I ranked it a 53 out of 100, which is pretty much around the same I've ranked most of these Bond movies. As a conclusion to Sean Connery as Bond, I didn't think it was great, but I do quite like Sean Connery. Although I wouldn't say this was my favorite. Well, no, it's not my favorite of his movies. But yeah, I don't know. It was alright. It was fine. And considering it's Irvin Kershner, the director of The Empire Strikes Back, I did kind of have higher expectations, but it's just not that great. So let's move on to Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, which is another director I've been trying to get through, which is Zack Snyder. Trying to get through some of his filmography before the end of the year, because that was one of my goals for the year. I've only got a few movies left to watch that I have not seen, but I don't think I'm going to watch Dawn of the Dead. I think I'm going to do that next year, because I have a goal for next year to watch George Romero's movies. Anyways, let's go. The Owls of Ga'Hoole, not too bad. A 58 out of 100, I ranked it. It's not my least favorite Zack movie, really by any means, but it's an okay movie. It's not too bad. It's almost decent, I'd say. At times I was quite enjoying myself, and other times I just thought it was alright. So it's got an above average rating, 58. It's not great, like I said, by any means, but it's really not that bad. definitely I'd recommend it to someone that maybe has younger kids. Could be a little bit scary, I guess, at points, but yeah. Let's move on to Napoleon, which I was worried about how I felt about this movie by the end of it. And then I looked at Letterboxd to see the average of a 2.9, and I wasn't really worried about that anymore because I thought this was a very highly touted movie, especially being another Ridley Scott directed movie and a Ridley Scott epic, really. To say the least, this is a epic movie on an epic scale, but I just didn't enjoy it. Napoleon is not a character I want to enjoy, which I don't, he's not necessarily meant to be that way, but yeah, he is just a brutally poor character, in my opinion. Obviously, he is a real person, or was a real person, so yeah, I don't know. Overall, I just didn't enjoy this movie very much. I thought it was very nice to look at for the most part. Betty's trying to get in here. I can't let her in here because of the tree. Betty, stop. Anyways, yeah, ranked it a 59 out of 100 because it's a nice movie to watch. Definitely to look at, but it's long and it feels really, really long. It took quite some time to get through it, I felt. Let's move on to A View to a Kill, which is actually becoming one of my favorite Bonds. This is actually, I think, my 4th or 5th favorite Bond so far, which is really sad because it's only a 61 out of 100. But Zorn, I think, is one of the best Bond villains I've seen so far, and this one was really entertaining. And this was Roger Moore's last Bond, which I enjoyed more than Sean Connery's last. So Roger Moore, I think, might be my favorite Bond. I do think I like him more than Connery, so far at least. But I don't know if that's a hot take or not. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this movie more than I thought it was going to. So 61 out of 100. Let's move on to Sucker Punch, which I ranked a 67 out of 100. And honestly, this is a pretty solid Zack Snyder movie. A lot of people are pretty hit or miss with Zack Snyder. I did enjoy this. As the movie was starting, I didn't think I was going to. It was giving me weird vibes I didn't think I'd like. But I ended up quite enjoying the movie. Ranked at a 67 out of 100, not bad at all. And this is a fun, kind of action sci-fi heist. Not heist, but yeah, that kind of vibe, I guess. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you are interested and you do like Zack Snyder movies. Check this one out because it's pretty good. Let's move on to Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which I ranked an 80 out of 100. And this one actually dropped quite a lot since I watched last year. It dropped about 8 points. It was an 88 out of 100. Brought it down to an 80. So far, some of these movies I'm liking more than I did on first watch last year, and I'm disliking more on second watch from last year. So this is one that I'm liking less than my first watch. So yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, honestly, this movie kind of reminds me a lot of Goblet of Fire, where I feel like there's a lot of filler, but once it gets good, it gets fucking good, and we get the best wizarding duel throughout this entire franchise between Voldemort and Dumbledore. Truly the best wand fight, the best magic fight that we have throughout this franchise that I can remember, at least. This is the only one that really, really sticks out with me. And it's literally just two of the most powerful wizards going at it, just kind of showing off, which I really enjoyed. They're both really, really awesome. So, yeah, really great end to the movie, especially the third act is really, really strong. But the rest of this movie, again, it just felt like kind of filler for a lot of it. But I do like exploring the wizarding world, so I can't really get too mad about it. Yeah, not too bad. So, an 80 out of 100. So let's move on to my top 3 of the week. So, starting it off with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. This is a movie that Mel and I have been talking about a lot lately. We decided to throw it on yesterday and watch it. And a pretty solid movie, of course. Ranked it an 84 out of 100. I actually lowered the ranking from an 88 also, funnily enough, down to an 84. And this was also something I watched last year around the same time I was watching the Harry Potters, which is weird. I didn't even think about that. I watched this and the Harry Potters around February last year, and rewatching them again this year. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this movie. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first time around, but still a really great movie with a lot of just fun scenes and memorable moments with a really, really great cast. I love this cast. It's a really fun cast, and it's like cast, like it's people from all over the place, I find, which I really love. And just seeing where a lot of these people's careers have gone since then, also really, really cool. So, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is pretty good. Let's move on to E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which I also ranked an 84 out of 100. So, yeah, I do feel a little bit weird about how low I'll say this rating is, because it's not that high. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit higher and a little bit greater, but I think I need to stop getting my expectations up for movies that are considered to be like the all-time greats, because a lot of the time I'm watching these movies, especially if they're older movies, and I just don't think they're as good as what I've been, what I've heard and what I've been told. So I'm a little sad that I did not enjoy this as much as I thought I would. The first hour or so I felt was kind of slow, and that's really where it loses a lot of points for me. It just felt like a bit of a drag at times. But the last hour was really, really great, and I really enjoyed my time with it. So, who knows, maybe it'll feel differently on rewatch at some point, but as of right now, an 84 out of 100 for E.T. Let's move on to my favorite watch of the week, which is a rewatch, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. And yeah, I'm still really enjoying this movie. I was a little worried that this was going to be like No Way Home for me, where it just gets worse every time I watch it, which when I first watched it, I watched it twice opening weekend. I watched it Thursday and Friday opening weekend. Thursday, I loved it, ranked it a 94. Friday, lowered it down to a 90. This time around, a few months later, I actually raised it up to a 91 because I do think it's better than No Way Home, which I have at a 90 out of 100. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think this is a better multiverse movie. Although probably the highs aren't as high in this movie as it is in No Way Home. Definitely not. But still, I just think this is a better movie, truthfully. And it's a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun, which I really enjoy. I like to enjoy what I watch. So, shout out to Deadpool and Wolverine. So, with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. Check out my letterbox, link in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.